I'm joined now by Larry Riddle of L-3 Avionics. Larry, thanks for taking some time to talk with us.
Thanks for the invite, Tom.
Happy to do it. Happy to have you here. I love having somebody sitting there that makes me feel petite.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure I probably added on a couple more pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Last year too.
It's a good town for that.
That's great.
Let's talk a little bit about the L-3 Lynx, Larry, because this is a product that, while it's been around for a little while, you've got some interesting new developments on it. So what's going on with the Lynx?
Well, again, since we've introduced this now, we introduced it last year at AEA. This year we've added some additional enhancements. I think I might have teased a little bit about that last year with some of the software enhancements. So this year we've come out with a Class B ETOS, which is a simple software upgrade to the box, so you don't need anything in addition. You send your box in, get the software upgrade, and you're good to go. And then we also have the ADS-B Air Traffic Advisory System, which has been now dubbed ATAS.
Right.
Prior to that it was called TSAA, now the FAA's changed it, so it's ATAS. But both of those features, with ETOS, again, it's going to be an extremely affordable Class B TSO'd ETOS, adding additional situational awareness into your cockpit, which L-3 Avionics, L-3 Aviation Products, that's really been our cornerstone for what we want to do, is give as much situational awareness you can at the most affordable price. And then with the ATAS, that's really giving you essentially that belt and suspenders approach with providing your ADS-B linkage, your active traffic linkage, and marrying it all up quite nicely.
Now, at its basic level, the L-3 Lynx is a drop-in replacement transponder, but it's got some touchscreen functionality that you wouldn't normally find. Talk about that a little.
Well, again, the transponder that we have is the first touchscreen. It is the first all-in-one multi-link surveillance box, which a transponder, again, it's not just a transponder, it does much more than that. Again, with your weather, with your ability to get your traffic, your TAF, all that information that comes off of UAT, in addition to now we've got the ETOS, now we've got the ATAS. So that touchscreen, again, with everybody having familiarity with their iPads, their Androids, the same kind of intuitiveness now is available in the cockpit to use. And there's no limits to what we can do. Again, one box that does a lot of things.
The interesting part about that is that the screen part of it, where you do get the representation, is of the ETOS and terrain awareness and all of those things, traffic in and weather and etc., is all in that standard. What is it? About a 2.5-inch tall slide-in box. What was the thinking of the company about having that included in that interface like that?
As far as the touchscreen display, again, it really goes back to the mission and our cornerstone of what we want to do. You want to add as much integration and functionality into a box that you can. And because of all the experience that we've had with many of the aviation products divisions, such a culmination of ACSS avionics systems, having those two core companies come together and be able to literally fit a lot of function into one box. So it's really who benefits out of all this is the end user, because there's more safety that's brought to his or her awareness in the cockpit today.
When you look at a product like the L-3 Lynx, and we've heard a lot about the rewrite of Part 23 to bring certifications into a standard-based situation as opposed to the testing they do now, how does that affect a product like this?
Well, ours is already certified.
Understood.
So now we're essentially working off of a pedigree that's certified. So as we move maybe to some of the software applications, might be a little bit easier to add into. But as far as the box itself, that design is fixed and we're moving forward.
Right.
So if you have some additional minor ones, how that would exactly roll through the rewrite on Part 23, I think that is still a little bit TBD.
Where do you see that aspect, when you look at that Part 23 rewrite, how do you see that affecting the industry as a whole?
Well, I think it can affect the industry as a whole it has lots of positive benefits, because I think then you bring an element of affordability to a lot of avionics that, again, can be driven with folks' familiarity with their iPads. And it's like, hey, I can buy all these cool apps, why can't I get it on my cockpit screen? Or I got all these cool apps in my automobile, how come I can't get them on my cockpit screen? And And we all know they don't go through a rigorous certification process.
Right.
So I think there's that element of innovation and really the cool wow factor that comes into play along with an affordability piece. What on the risk side is probably a little bit TBD because there still has to be some kind of standards and assurance that when somebody writes code for a software or they design a box to be fitted into an aircraft panel, that there's some due diligence that's been built up behind that. So there's definitely some pros, but I think some of the cons you also have to not go in with blinders on.
One of the things that we're talking with a lot of our guests about during this show, particularly for a company like you that has a long history in certified avionics and knows what that process is like, at Sun and Fun, EAA and Dynon came up with a big announcement about putting Dynon glass panels in certified airplanes. Now, I've heard from some people that's a huge deal. I've heard from others that they didn't do anything especially new in order to be able to do that. What say you?
What say if we were to do something like that?
Well, no, but how does that development affect what it is that your company does, and how does it affect the industry?
Well, again, it affects the industry from might be a way to do some things more affordable. Again, we spend a lot of money going through standing up a design to rigorous standards that are set forth by the FAA. So if those things get relaxed, well, now you don't have to do as much. You get to a certain point where like this product is safe, and then of course there's always that additional assurance and insurance that we've done and found every different scenario to make sure something is completely safe and extremely reliable. So hey, if this thing makes progress, and with us having pedigrees to build on, I think there's something there we can do to say, okay, look, instead of doing 100% of all this rigorous testing, the rewrite on 23, maybe now it's only 60%, you still have a quality product, and it's going to cost less from a development standpoint, and then you can probably pass on those savings to the end user.
Do you see that eventually always being something resembling a certified product, even if they do kind of lower the bar somewhat?
Oh, I think so. Today with the graphics processing that we've seen, just the bandwidth of processors and everything gets faster. It seems like every 6 months, and again with graphics, I mean, you can play with an app on an iPod, and you're like, man, this wasn't even cool on a video game that you played at home 10 years ago.
Sure.
And now you have these awesome graphics. So I don't think the quality is there, but or I should say the quality will not be lacking from that standpoint. I think really now it's just the speed to market and really truly how innovative can you be now with a little bit of the relaxation of that rewrite.
When we heard the administrator yesterday morning talk about the advancements in the unmanned aircraft industry, that the unmanned aircraft is kind of obsolete after about 4 to 6 months. And you're working in an arena that has some of that same pace of innovation. What kind of pace of innovation is there in avionics like the L-3 Lynx, and how fast is it? I mean, what's kind of the longevity on it, and how fast do you have to rewrite software to be able to keep up?
Well, it's not so much the software element as it going to be processors that go obsolete. Something else comes out faster. And with us being in the aviation market, all of us collectively, we still don't have that buying power to maintain that, processing chip XYZ maintains, because everybody with their iPhones and their iPad controls that market. Right. So if, processor company ABC wants to come out with something faster, they're going to do it because of the larger market that's pushing them that way. So in that sense, the aviation industry is at a disadvantage when it comes to processors and displays. And I'm sure there's probably some other smaller items, but those are the biggest things that I've seen that can change quickly.
Well, Larry, is there anything else we want to talk about the Lynx right now? We brushed on, kind of hit some of the high points of it, but we're just about out of time. So what did I miss about the Lynx so we can wrap this up and let folks know to come over by your booth and have a look at the instrument?
Definitely stop by our booth, and if you get a chance to check out Lynx, it really is a hands-on, intuitive tool, and there's still a lot of that epiphanies that we see when people go, I had no idea they'll say they read that it could do all these things, but then when they say it's really in one box, it really doesn't have to play with anything else in my panel, and you say, that's right. It's all in one, it's autonomous, stick it in and you're ready to rock.
Are you having folks that are actually flying the Lynx let you know that in things like rough air situations, they're not having a lot of trouble with the touchscreen interface?
We have, knock on wood, we have not had any of that because it is a little bit more of a firmer touch on our touchscreen than what you would have on your iPad. So no complaints there. As a matter of fact, a lot of the blogs and a lot of the internet buzz is the positive. It's really something it's a first.
Okay.
It's definitely a first.
Well, good. Well, Larry, thanks very much for taking some time to talk with us. Good luck with the rest of the show.
All right, thanks.
Hope you sell a lot of boxes,
Yeah,
and
me
we'll
too.
see you around next time.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Great,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 59th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Orlando, Florida, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
Imagine avionics. Avionics that make your life simpler rather than more complicated. Imagine that when things go wrong, your avionics not only detects bad information, but corrects it automatically. That's the avionics system Avilution is creating, so you won't have to imagine it much longer.
Redbird Flight Simulations is dedicated to revolutionizing flight training by designing, manufacturing, and delivering affordable and innovative flight training technologies. Each Redbird device is designed to enhance the training experience for pilots of all levels, from student to ATP. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.